hits, they just keep on coming. Game number 3 of a 3-game homestand Saturday, West Virginia, Big 12 opener against the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. And this is 3 Guys Before the Game, episode 490. 490 puts us 10 away from the magical, mythical 500 mark. And it puts us, 310 away from the episode that'll never happen. The episode 800.
The time goes by quickly, so...
Nah, it's not. It's about ready to be done.
Gotcha.
3 Guys Before the Game, thanks so much for being with us. El Dino is here, Mr. Hoppy Kercheval. Very brightly colored today. Very, very nice. Very nice.
As I always say, I got to go work with the highway department today.
El Senatore is here as well. He goes to the different shade of a spectrum there. He goes straight black, wearing a piece of apparel that a lot of people in Milan down the runways are talking about. It's the 3 Guys golf shirt. Oh, that's really nice. Available, by the way, at episode800.com, among many other fine quality items.
Peter Millar edition.
Well, that's a Millar.
That's the Peter Millar edition. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for noticing.
Just feels
Look at the bottom of your shoes. Have you seen the bottom of your shoes, Brad?
Have I?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my shoes.
Show them.
Have you seen those?
Oh, those
multicolored.
Pick it up, Senator.
Well, I'm not going to pick them up.
People want to see.
I may pull a hamstring. I can't get my leg all the way up over the thing.
Listen to me. You can't bring something up. Our listeners.
Well, I brought it up.
I didn't bring it up. That's the thing. I did just because he brought it up doesn't mean I have to comply.
Correct. However, because of Goofball over there bringing it up, it's not fair to our listeners. Could you just spin on your chair? And
Love the listeners.
Just give me one of these. Just give me.
If you come to the thing this weekend, 3 Guys Food Court, I'll have them.
You're wearing them?
Or a version of them that are similar.
How many pair of shoes do you have?
A lot. I like shoes.
All right. 3 Guys brought to us by Tom McCann. When you need shoes, go to Tom McCann. And by Buster Brown.
Buster Brown.
3 Guys brought to us by the.
I will say that the shoes are No Bulls. Will Greer, our guy, endorser of No Bull.
How you spell it?
Bull.
Oh, Nobull.
Yes.
Cool.
Oh, no bull, not noble.
So Bull.
So those
it stands for the last part of that word is cut off, just like it. Well, it's not cut off when you do the chant to Pitt, but it's No Bull.
I got it.
It's a workout brand.
And Will is
Will's an endorser. Has been since he was drafted.
Influencer of No Bull.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Okay, cool.
So there you go.
What do those cost a pair? What's that range?
What normal?
100 quarter, 150,
Nike's cost.
175, 175, 175, 150. Yep. 175, 58. Yep. I got a 150 in. Everybody going to hit you now. 175 now. 175. Brad, you want in for 2?
Let's go. Enough about my shoes. We got stuff to get into.
3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center. They happen to be the only warranty forever dealer in the state of West Virginia. And they got a deal for you. I got news. Hey, Luke, cut to me, please, because I want our folks to know this. Burdett Camping Center is extending. Burdett Camping Center is extending its semi-annual liquidation sale through this coming Saturday. All the 2022s, all the 2023s are being liquidated. I just like that word liquidated. It means like they're letting them go. They're letting them flow. Go to Burdett.
So deals are there to be had.
Yeah, but there's more. Hang on.
More.
Go to burdettcamping.com for all the details and all the discounts. Plenty of time to get a great deal before the kickoff on Saturday. burdettcamping.com. Tell them 3 Guys sent you. Now, here's our prop in-game bet wager / way to save you money. I guess you could just call it a promotion. There's no wager to it.
You said a lot of things. It is a promotion.
I don't know where I was going.
Way to save you money. Yes, you said that.
Here's how you can save money. Have you seen this yet?
No. First I've heard of it.
How about this one from our guy Phil at Burdett? If the Mountaineer offensive line grades out at higher than 70% on PFF's rankings against Texas Tech, if the O-line grades out better than 70%, everybody gets $400 off a new camper. You just walk in. So if we can grade out over 70% totality of the offensive line, everyone gets $400 off.
Stats, what are the chances of that happening?
We might have to make an amendment on there.
What do you need?
Well, the offensive grades come in pass blocking and run blocking. There isn't just one offensive line stat.
Can you average that?
Can we average it? Or?
We can.
Okay, why don't we average it?
Okay, we'll average the pass blocking and run blocking grades. And it needs to be at 70?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
70 or above. Get you $400 off a camper.
Starting five?
Just all overall.
Just overall.
Yep.
In totality.
There's a team pass blocking grade and a team run blocking grade.
Add the two together. If it's an average of over 70, we're in. Right?
Yeah.
70 or over. Three Guys also brought to us by Comax Business Systems.
By the way, if you were doing that so far in the season, you would have hit in 2 of 3 games.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and here's another piece to it. We'll get into this. It better be over 70.
No question. Phil's very good at these promotions.
For sure.
It's outstanding. That's a relevant, super important topic going into this game, and then it can save you money. That's a great promotion. A plus, Phil.
Three Guys also brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, efficient for 25 years. I had correspondence with Bob Maxwell over there, the owner of Comax, this week, and he was thrilled that I personally noticed the Comax blimp over the stadium the other day, and like a lot of people were confused that it was the Goodyear blimp. Bob did confirm.
Well, I don't think he confirmed. Did you mishear him?
Well, I think he said, thanks for shouting out the Comax blimp, is what he said.
I don't know that he confirmed that it was the Comax blimp.
Now, you might be right about that, but Comax, just unbelievable, folks. They've been.
By the way, we got a call from Goodyear.
Sponsorships are available.
Yeah, yeah, we could do that. Anyway, what does Comax do? If you're a business owner, they do everything that you need. We're talking about the most basic piece of equipment all the way through to digital phone services from 1 line to 1,000 lines, and they will manage your IT. They can do that remotely. They can come in, give you a free estimate of where you are. Are you safe with your data? They'll manage it all. ComaxWV.com. Three Guys also brought to us by the fine folks at GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. And we got one more little piece of information to confirm from last Saturday, but apparently we got people out in the lots when the people park near the stadium. At this point, every single car and truck that was at last Saturday's game had gotten its fuel from GoMart before the game. So why don't you, if you're coming up this weekend at any time of the week, get your fuel from GoMart, get a rewards card, and you will save dollars off your fuel and off your food items. All you have to do is go to gomart.com, and get a rewards card. And then on Saturdays, it's triple points during football season.
Nice.
Triple points on Saturdays.
People use that.
Now, why would you not go there on Saturdays and get triple points?
Great point.
Plus, the other thing about these cats, they love Halloween. So you know they got something double sneaky promo coming up here.
You think pumpkins? You think the Reese pumpkins will be on deal?
Maybe like a pumpkin made out of Slim Jim meat with a Reese cup top.
That doesn't
Now
sound
you've
very
gone
good.
too far.
Yeah, maybe. Three Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Tell you what, these days, these are some of the best days of the year. They start a little bit cold and crisp, and like right now when I walk in to work here, I say, why am I walking in here? I should know what I should be doing. I should be walking down the rail trail from Morgantown to Point Marion. It's too nice of a day.
Yeah, do the work on your phone. You can do that.
Right?
You know what else would be nice? Out in a nice pontoon, wheeling around the lake, nobody else out there. Here's the other thing.
Doing donuts.
Sneaky good views of the leaves turning as we get later on, right? Those first couple weeks of October when it starts, it's still kind of warm. You take the pontoon out for a nice little spin. No one's around you.
Perfect.
Nice. Perfect. Absolutely.
So boating season not over quite yet.
Yeah. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. They're the same folks that furnish the pontoon boats. Whenever you see a James Bond movie and he's in a pontoon, they come from Lou Wendell Marine Sales right here in the great state of West Virginia. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. And Three Guys also brought to us by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. More on that coming up during the Spreads on Stats segment. We'll talk more about this as well, but the food court was a massive hit last weekend. In fact, it was so nice, we're going to do it twice. We're back at you this weekend, starting Friday, that's tomorrow, the 22nd of September. We're going Friday Night Lights.
Ooh.
We made a big move in the budget department, and we went out and bought string lights. And those 50-pound bags of sand that we had that were holding down the bicycle stanchions, we got buckets this week. We're pouring the sand into the bucket. We're putting the poles for the lights inside the sand bucket, and we're going to string the lights around, which means we're going to be open later, 4 until 10. Nice. What's going to be there, you may ask? Chestnut Brew Works with Kirchhoff Ale, my fine little Halleck Pale Ale, Oliverio's pepperoni rolls, and they're bringing out their panini press so they can.
That'll be a nice touch.
Nice touch. They'll warm it up. Tardy Time, going to do some stuff. New addition this week, the Wine Bar. And they'll be available. They'll be there. Might have yourself a little mimosa on Saturday morning. And then on Saturday, it's called Sipping Saturday Brunch. So the mimosas flow, and we're going 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Rev Kev, whose barbecue has stunned Mountaineer Nation about
5-star.
How good it is. Had a funny text I used last night. Some guy says, I've lived in Texas for 10 years. We do barbecue in Texas. You have got to tell me what his recipe is, because that was just like earth-shattering.
I think the key is you need a preacher who stays up all night. That's what you need, a preacher who stays up all night.
You're not far, because you know what he puts on that you know what he puts on that brisket? You know what his ingredients are?
What, nothing?
2 things. Mm-hmm. Salt and pepper.
Oh.
That's the only thing he puts on it.
That's awesome.
It's the love of the Rev. It's overseeing his flock of briskets that he puts upon the grill at night, and he guides them to a perfect temperature.
It's divine.
It is divine. That's why it's called Rev Kev's Brisket and Barbecue.
The brisket's awesome. Don't sleep on the pulled pork, though, either.
Or the chicken.
They're all excellent.
So all of that's going to be there. We invite you. It's not closed. I mean, if you know other people that may have some...
it just looks exclusive.
It does. Anyone can come. So if you're not a Three Guys listener, but you know someone, it's not like the Water Buffaloes like Fred Flintstone used to go to. You have to secret knock. You can just come on in. Come on in. 4 to,
on my bingo.
4 to 10 on Friday, and then 8 to 3 on Saturday. And Rev Kev and all the folks will be there. Really looking forward to it.
Here's the other part. A lot of people did this last week, so here's another idea. You park and get your spot in the parking lot, because it'll be another great crowd.
Yeah, in the
parking
lots.
Limited again.
Yeah.
Go park and get your spot, and then walk over. Right, you can have a Kirchhoff Ale while you're waiting.
Yeah.
While you're waiting for Rev Kev to get your order up, which doesn't take that long. Then you have your barbecue to go. You grab a 4-pack of Kirchhoff Ale to go. Have a little Tardy Time lemonade for the walk back. Right. You're all set.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good plan.
Maybe mix in a mimosa if it's Saturday morning.
Good plan.
And then you hit it all. Fair?
Yeah, it's
good plan.
It's totally.
But it's walkable from the stadium. We're close.
Absolutely. Right next to Daniel's Menswear, men's store, fine looking Phil. It's right next door to it. You'll see it.
I parked there last week. I asked Phil, but I did park there.
Yeah, probably let you in. Well,
okay.
Tell you what, the 7 minutes you were there, it was really appreciated.
Also, if you need some gold for the gold rush, he might have a few pieces. He got some nice stuff.
He might have an item. Hey, guess what? Besides all this, there's a football game. Saturday afternoon, 3:30, a massively important football game for West Virginia. Closing out a 3-game homestand. Now that they're Western Pennsylvania champions, they move on to Big 12 conference play as they open up their 12th season in the Big 12 against the Red Raiders of Texas Tech, who will come to Morgantown as the favorite to win for the 5th consecutive year over West Virginia. Last year, West Virginia was outmanned, outclassed, and in Neal Brown's words, embarrassed in Lubbock. And the old coach has got a thorn that's festering about this game. He obviously knows the significance, deeply disappointed with how they played last year. Can they rebound? Yeah, they can. They can. And we'll talk about that coming up. Hoppy, you quoted Mick Jagger in the Rolling Stones in our episode on Sunday. Who do you bring us today? Perhaps Tolstoy, Thoreau?
No, I bring you this. This game should be played on Halloween.
Excuse me?
This game should be played on Halloween. This has been a horror show.
Ooh.
A horror show for West Virginia. And I went back, guys, we remember these Texas Tech games, and I went back and I said, I got to double check some things just to make sure. Let me give you some stuff. 2019, game at WVU. Texas Tech wins 38-17. Jet Duffy.
Jet Duffy.
24 of 34,
Duffy.
354 yards.
Heisman.
Jet Duffy.
Yeah.
2020 game at Texas Tech. Texas Tech wins 34-27. Henry Colombi.
Oh, geez.
Hello.
Henry Colombi.
13 schools.
22 of 28. Let's go to 2021. Game in Morgantown. Texas Tech wins 23-20. Scores tied late. Texas Tech deep in their own territory. Who engineers a winning drive? Henry Colombi drives the team down the field, and Tech hits a field goal, 31-yard field goal with 18 seconds left. They beat West Virginia. Henry Colombi. 2022, the game's at Texas Tech. Tyler Shuck's hurt. They got injuries.
Baron Morton.
Baron Morton, redshirt freshman, had an injured ankle, was sick, was throwing up that morning. Not sure of his condition. He comes in, 28 of 45, 2 touchdowns, 325 yards. And, of course, the infamous game in 2011 where West Virginia ranked 5th in the country. Geno Smith's going to win the Heisman. You go to Texas Tech. Seth Deggy ties a career-high 6 touchdown passes. Jake Amara, he might still be running.
Jace, yeah.
Jace Amara,
yeah.
The tight end.
Well,
they had 18 plays, Tony, in that game, 18 plays of 15 yards or more.
Who was the offensive coordinator?
Well, I think it was a guy named Neal Brown.
You know, Jason Morrow never played another game that year.
Stunning. He also didn't turn into a pro. I thought he'd be a big-time pro.
Spleen, one of our guys. But
I mean, guys,
but here's
think
the
about
thing,
it.
Though. Hold on. Throw out 2011 because that was only because of the wind.
Well,
if there was a wind, none of that. Jason Morrow didn't matter. Seth Deggy didn't matter. It was only because of the wind.
But think about that for a second. And with all due respect to some of those players, but I mean, some of these guys who never did much in college had career days against West Virginia, and we would watch these games and go, who are these guys?
Makes you mad, doesn't it?
So I think that's why the game should be played on Halloween, because it's been a horror show.
That's why the head coach is all frothed up.
Yeah, he's frothed up.
Here's the thing, though. I'm having trouble with this one.
What? What's going on?
I'm having trouble. This is one, West Virginia's going to come into this with some confidence. Tech feels wobbly to me in and around their program. They just feel that's a team that was picked 4th in this league. There were a lot of people that thought Tech could win this league. There was a lot of hype around this Tech team. And they've started slowly. Although there's some things in those games that you could look at. But they don't have the confidence that they should have, in my opinion. So you got two teams in a different mental space. Both of these teams have things that they should be concerned about when they look inward. But both of these teams have things that make the other team look at them and go, uh-oh, can we handle that? Right? I'm struggling to get to an evaluation of this because I can't shake last year. It's not just the result of that, and that was not a good score. It was the way that thing looked. West Virginia didn't even belong on the same field with that team. Never mind that. What'd they give up last year? 48?
48-10.
Never mind what West Virginia's defensive effort was. That offensive effort from West Virginia, you got flat big boyed. If Texas big boyed you, which they did a couple weeks later, okay, fine. I would not have thought Texas Tech could have big boyed you. So I'm struggling with, was that just a one game West Virginia didn't show up, they didn't give full effort, they weren't ready to play, and Tech was pretty good? Or is that something that can carry over this year? Because there's some things, and I can build you a case for West Virginia winning this game. It needs to win this game, but I'm struggling with how that looked last year. That's a massive one-game turnaround or one-year turnaround here for West Virginia if they can right this ship.
You know what I'm not buying? That they're shaky.
Oh, they're shaky.
I don't think they're shaky.
No, you're wrong there.
I think they're a whisker away from being 3-0.
They are, but that is not. Here's the thing. They may be very good. They may go on to a great season. They are absolutely shaky right now. They are not sure what they have. They're concerned about their quarterback. They're concerned about their offensive line, as they should be. Their defense isn't performing at the level they thought it would. They have nowhere near the confidence this team should have given where they're picked. That doesn't mean it's a West Virginia win. They are 100% shaky in their confidence. That's a no-doubter. That's not even up for debate.
All right.
Well, I guess we'll move on then, because we can't.
Thanks for being with us. It's been a great edition of Three Guys Before the Game.
Like I said, that doesn't mean you're going to win, but you've got two teams in two different places mentally. How does that manifest? You need to see that.
Here's why I think that two things. Tony, to your point, whatever Texas Tech, for all I know, they could hitchhike here and still play the best game of the year because for whatever reason they seem to play well against West Virginia. But Brad, to your point is, I think they are a little shaky because of the season expectations. Like they might win the league.
That's my point.
And now they're 1-2. And also, Joey McGuire, I think, has done a good job. But he's like 1-6, 1-7 on the road.
1-5 on the road.
Yeah,
so they struggled, and they're not sure what they're going to give on the road. Again, you listened and talked to some of their people, and they're, we don't know what you're going to get on. Yeah, there's absolutely some things there that are making them concerned about this road trip. You hear the talk. Tough place to play in Morgantown. They owe us.
Pretty short trip. A pretty short trip, though, isn't it, for them?
Long trip. Longest they'll take.
Probably leave today.
Mike Gundy called McGuire and said, look, you better stay overnight somewhere in Kansas if you're going to make that trip out there. Just bring the plane down, just park for the day and come back through.
Yeah, you're in a decent spot. And Neal talked about this, and I agree. Now, we'll see if it comes to fruition. But the potential for a letdown spot existed today. But the fact that they've been hammering home this Texas Tech performance from last year and the other 3 years, I think probably insulates you from a letdown spot. I think you'll be ready to go.
You know what else could help the world champions on Saturday, world champion Mountaineers on Saturday? The fans were just off the grid last Saturday against Pitt. Fans need to play again, too. Like, fans can't have an off day. Fans need to bring it because if, in fact, as the senator says, these guys may be a little bit unsure as to who they are, Texas Tech, can you be a difference and a factor in this game? I think if the fans bring it, that energizes the Mountaineers, that could impact them. You got to bring it.
Tony, I agree. I mean, the crowd obviously made a huge difference. Can they show up again and do the same thing? What worries you about the crowd when you play a game like this? I think I'm going to go back to the Jet Duffy game. I think they got up like 21-0 or something in that game, and just the crowd got taken out of it. Is that the way Tech plays? I mean, you get the ball first and you go 3 and out. They get the ball and they move down the field with no huddle, and all of a sudden they score. Like they can, with the way they play, if they're effective in early drives, they could quickly take the crowd out of it.
Correct. Absolutely. But big feast famine there, because if they're not successful going as fast as they are and you are successful at running the ball, you talk about time and possession being a big thing for West Virginia, you could absolutely mulch. Now, you have to stop them and you have to be on your game, but that could also work against you. How many times have we seen it in this program? When you go fast and you don't have success, you're giving the ball right back and you're putting the defense in tough spots. So that can go either way.
Agreed.
All right. You ready to now that we've opined and given opinion, you ready to put some meat to the bones here, Senator?
Let's roll.
You're sure?
Let's roll.
All right. Let's get the song ready. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Spreads on Stats. By the way, Hoppy, you missed them. Producer of both of the songs, Textual Healing and Spreads on Stats, was at the Three Guys Food Court.
Oh, was he?
This weekend, yeah. David was there Saturday morning.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday
I was
morning.
not available.
Yeah, I know.
So I check the numbers.
Yeah.
We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater. Let's jump into analytics portion of the show.
Spreads on Stats brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. Just like the Senator, Conley Group, make sure that their digits all line up. Their numbers are correct. You got good numbers, or what do you got here? Make me feel good?
PFF graded 97 on the numbers.
That validates your work. All right, go ahead. What do you got for us?
Right, excuse me. Let me put on my glasses here. My Spreads on Stats glasses.
Yeah,
Need to go
absolutely.
on. I'm going to highlight one particular. I've really niche this down into one area. There's a million keys. We'll talk about some more. We'll spend a lot of time getting into some other areas, but here's one. I've chosen one, okay? But I'm going to give you about 100 numbers within this one category. Here's a question, Hop. You ready for the question?
Yes, sir. Go.
You were talking about that Tech offense?
Yeah.
I'll counter with the West Virginia defense and ask this question. Can West Virginia get pressure on Tyler Shuck and this offensive line? Ready for some numbers into this?
Yes.
Last year, this game against Texas Tech was West Virginia's worst pass rush grade of 2022. That was combined with Texas Tech's best pass rush blocking grade of 2022. Part of why you ended up in a 48-10 non-contest. So can you turn that around if you're West Virginia? Can you apply some pressure to this Tech offensive line? Let's highlight a couple of guys. Last week we talked about Trey Lathan and Sean Martin had matchups that may make them successful in that game against Pitt. Worked out pretty well. Trey Lathan is now up to 3rd in the Big 12 in pass rush grade. West Virginia has 3 of the top 9 in pass rush grade, people that have played 20 or more snaps. Lathan, Hershey McLaren, Jared Bartlett. We talked about him on Sunday, how he's starting to come along. So you got multiple guys there that are starting to show themselves. Lathan, 12th in the Big 12 in total pressures. Fairly even coming from the left or the right, although slightly better from the left. Lathan also leads the Big 12 in quarterback hits. Majority of those have come when he's on the right side. The other person that's having a nice year, Sean Martin, he's top 20 in the Big 12 in total pressures. Tomowa Durajaye, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Tied for the lead in the Big 12 in sacks. How many different guys did I name right there?
Bunch.
Is that like 6? 6 different guys are sitting highly ranked within the Big 12 when it comes to pressure stats. Now, that's only part of the equation. That's the West Virginia side. Let's flip it around and look at Tech.
How long does he hold on to that ball? Is that where you're going to go now?
I will give you some of that.
Yeah.
Last week, we highlighted the right guard position for Pitt, right? That could be a potential problem area for them. They ended up not playing the true freshman that had struggled so much, but they inserted their backup that we also talked about and said, quite frankly, it doesn't matter who they put in. The right guard has really struggled. That position last week against West Virginia had a 45.9 pass blocking grade coming out of that game. They struggled at the right guard position, led to Lathan and Martin and others having some pressure. This week, let's hire another one. It's the center for Texas Tech.
Really?
Rusty Stats. He struggled so far. The second lowest pass blocking grade in the Big 12 for players with more than 105 snaps have been right over the middle for Rusty Stats of Texas Tech.
What a name, by the way.
Perfect for the segment.
Yeah.
Thank you. He's allowed the 7th most pressures in the Big 12. Now, with West Virginia's defense, he's not going to have somebody lined up straight over the nose. But combine his struggles with a right guard in Jacoby Jackson, who's played some for them, he has just a 53.2 PFF grade. That's one of the guards. So do you have an area of the line that you can exploit? You've got a couple of weaknesses right in there. What do the other guards have to do to protect the middle as you start to get pressure? So when I say Tech's wobbly in some areas, that's one. They're concerned about the pressure getting right up into Tyler Shuck's face. That brings us to the last variable in this key to the game. Can you get pressure? You're facing a quarterback in Tyler Shuck that has been sacked 9 times in 3 games. Their quarterbacks as a whole, 9 times in 3 games. So PFF measures how many pressures are the fault of the quarterback rather than the line. Shuck leads the Big 12 in that category. He also has the most sacks out of play action in the Big 12 and the second most sacks when taking regular dropbacks. So every sack category is working against Shuck.
He's holding on to the pickle too long, right?
The time that he's at fault means he's holding it too long. The times he's run out of play action, that hasn't worked. Times they've gone regular dropbacks, you've been able to get pressure. He leads the Big 12, does Shuck, in scramble rushing attempts out of regular dropbacks. That speaks to the pressure he's been under, having to take off and run. If West Virginia can get some pressure on Shuck, chances are good that he may throw you 1 or 2. He has 7 turnover-worthy plays this season. That's that stat measured by Pro Football Focus that doesn't necessarily have to turn into a turnover, but it's a path that was worthy of a turnover. So he has 7 of those already. 4 interceptions in his first 2 games and has 2 fumbles on the year on top of that, although he hasn't lost both of them. So that whole equation is going against a West Virginia defense. I talked about the pressure, and then we talked on Sunday about the back end. West Virginia now has more interceptions on the season than it had all of last year and has moved up to 7th nationally in picks. So pressure, there's a lot of keys, but pressure is there for the taking if you're West Virginia and continue to do what you've done.
I think those stats really reinforce it, Brad. Well done. A key to that game, because in the Oregon game, Oregon had, I think, 5 sacks, 20 hurries, something like that, and they got after him. They brought pressure. And look, when Texas Tech has 5 linemen and five wideouts, then guess what? You know, as Steve Dunlap likes to say, if you can have 6 rushing against 5, you got a chance to get to him. So that's an interesting cat and mouse game it's going to be playing unless Shuck can get rid of the ball quickly. But also, you know, Shuck can take off and run. He ran for 100 yards against Oregon. So he will take off and he can do some things with his feet. But I think that, Brad, what you talked about there is a fascinating matchup as to whether West Virginia can get pressure, and if so, how much pressure can they get to him and shake him up. And as you said, he might throw the ball to you because he's done that so far this year.
And then it flips over to Tech knows that too. They have a running back that's really good, but has been underutilized. There's a lot of questions down around Lubbock of why isn't Taj Brooks getting the ball more? Why isn't he running the ball more? Do they come out and try and establish him early, which quite frankly, if you're West Virginia, I'd rather Tech try and run on you than tempo you and throw some quick passes. Do they also adjust their passing game? Do they work on getting the ball out more to, one, limit West Virginia's pressure, and two, try and eliminate his interceptions and turnover-worthy plays? My guess has to be yes on that. I would think Tech counters with some moves of its own this week.
Guys, what about this? So both of you on this issue relevant to this topic, and that is one of the reasons that West Virginia was able to get pressure last week was that they had time between plays. Mm-hmm. They brought in they made a lot of changes on defensive line, so they had fresh bodies in there. When Tech doesn't substitute and they're going like 18 seconds between plays, you get tired linemen on long drives and you're unable to substitute.
Correct. That's why it's imperative that West Virginia does really well on first down. These guys operate at peak efficiency when they're looking at second and medium to short and third at short yardage. You've got to put your biggest play may be your first down play, just to negate them, to force them into things that they have to do rather than them dictating to you. That's a big part of it. This is the first time that West Virginia will face a quarterback this season that looks to run the ball. Shuck does, right? The other guys have not yet.
And he's a big guy.
Big, strong guy. Again, third one out of 4 games, just this big dude. And they have that tempo that we've been talking about that West Virginia hasn't seen yet this season. Now, obviously, West Virginia's fully aware of it. They've been working on it since the offseason. They've got some new plans that they want to utilize this year of how to try to at least be in alignment when the ball is snapped, because last year they weren't even in alignment. So you wonder, why did they have such success? Well, if guys aren't even getting the line and lining up, you have no shot whatsoever.
But it's tough, Tony, if they start on their 25 and they've driven down the West Virginia 25
sure.
and they've run 9 plays, it gets harder and harder as you get
and you got your big,
those drives
you got your big
on.
guys out there that would like to go wave their hands, say, hey, can I come out? No, you can't come out. So anyway.
I would think you're going to give up some yards here. I think this comes back to what I think West Virginia's been very good at, and you're going to give up some yards to this team. Tech can move it. They can run it. They can throw it, as we've just outlined. This is going to have to be one of those, and West Virginia's been great at this so far, stepping up in those key moments. You're going to have to force turnovers. That's been the difference in these two teams. West Virginia is not turning it over, but they're getting takeaways. Tech keeps turning it over. That needs to continue. You've not only this game got to get some stops on key third downs, but they're going to go for it on fourth down, likely. So you've got to play 4 downs, and you've got to get some stops on fourth. And lastly, you've just got to hold them to some field goals.
Yeah,
so
red zone defense.
I don't think you have to be flipped out if Tech's moving the ball between the 25s if you can just get some targeted stops in there.
So let's say you get some targeted stops, but they're still going to score points. They're still going to move the ball. They're averaging 35 points a game. Can West Virginia, with what's expected to be a backup quarterback, can you get to 30?
Yeah, that's the next part. I think we have to have an offensive conversation here, because that's the part that's the most worrisome for West Virginia is, what do you need to get to points-wise to get a win here? If you give up in the 30s, I don't think you win this game. I think this has got to be one where they're flustered, you get some takeaways, you set up some short fields, you get some points off that, and you suppress the scoring. The total's sitting around 55. If this is an over game, this is Tech all day. West Virginia's got to keep that thing down, because to me, that's where the questions exist for West Virginia. It's offensively. What are you going to do, number one, just in theory? Number two, how do you avoid what happened to you last year where those wide receivers could not move off the line? We saw that was a problem against Pitt. Then you add in Nico, hopefully with a week's practice, and that playbook opened a little bit more. The passing game looks a little more dynamic, but you've got to show that you can get by those same Tech corners and safeties that existed last year. That's a real concern.
Massive corners. Take a look at their size. They look like pros. Big, tall, 6'2 plus guys with weight on them as the corners. And as Brad said, they'll just get right up in on you, hold you. Like last year, Bryce Ford-Wheaton couldn't get off the line. He's a big, strong kid.
And if they get flagged a time or two, what the heck?
Yeah.
Right.
So that is a big concern as you watch the game on Saturday, when you see passing situations and you see press coverage. Watch West Virginia's receivers. Can they get off the line? Can they get off the line? I think the tight end, Cole Taylor, gives West Virginia a dynamic that they did not have a year ago. Do they flex him out and match him up against a linebacker that he can get away from? This could be a big Cole Taylor game.
You know my stance there.
Throw it to him.
Feed the big fella.
Absolutely.
But some receivers, Devin Carter is going to have to make some plays.
He's got the body.
Receiver is going to have to make some plays. Running backs are going to have to be involved in the passing game this week, I would think. Right? If they're going to play man, what's Dunlap always said? You get man and you get those guys turning. Nico might have to take off and run a little bit. You might have to throw behind and let CJ get in space with the ball in his hand. You're going to have to find a way to manufacture a passing game that you did not need against Pitt. You just saw what Pitt's offense was doing and your defense was doing. You get up by 8 points. They can't catch you. Pitt had no chance to come back in that game with the way their offense looked and the way West Virginia is playing. That's different this week. You're going to have to find a way to move the football through the air at times.
You came strong.
You did. Very strong.
You came very nice. Does that relinquish your information for now?
That's it.
You came strong.
Thank you.
This Conley CPA Group sponsorship is really, I think, taking you to another level. Would you agree with that, Hoppy? I mean, he always brought it. I think now that he knows he's under the spotlight, he has to bring it. I think he.
He's bringing it.
I think he.
No
has.
question.
Once again, Conley CPA Group sponsors Spreads on Stats. They've been serving clients throughout the state of West Virginia and our surrounding states since 1985. Complete public accounting and consulting firm. I said this on the last episode. There just comes a time, kind of like relationships. Sometimes they just break off. If you're a business owner, well, I mean, not all relationships last, Hoppy.
Well, I'm aware of that.
And so sometimes if you're not happy with the folks that are doing your accounting, well, give these folks a try. Talk to them. They do audit and assurance, tax planning preparation, consulting and advisory, and also they outsource, if you don't want to, they can outsource your accounting and your CFO services. Visit the Conley CPA Group. So much more value beyond the numbers. Good people. Mr. Mike down there. Good guy. All right. So I forgot to mention something. And we'll get into this later on. We have another addition to the food court. Wow. I forgot to mention.
This thing's taking off quick.
Brad, you know who I forgot to mention?
Who?
Our boy Rusty.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Mountaineer Roasting. We're going to have an espresso machine front and center. We're pulling shots Saturday, baby. We're pulling shots of espresso on Saturday.
Nice.
This is a great story. We're trying
8 a.m. You might need a little coffee to get you going.
Absolutely.
I went double.
8 a.m. or not? 8 or 9?
8. Not that you're going to be there. Doesn't matter. But anyway, 8 to 3 on Saturday are Hoppy.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah. So Mountaineer Roasting, this is we try to help West Virginia businesses. That's what the whole premise behind all of this is. All of these are West Virginia businesses. But so Rusty, WVU grad, went to GW, Charleston, came up here. He's featured on those commercials.
Lottery
commercials where he went overseas. Well, didn't go overseas. He went to South America. And he met, and he imports from, I mean, he literally knows the farmers who grow the beans, the coffee that he sells.
Awesome.
And he's a great guy. And Brad and I had a sit-down tasting with him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, now, do you guys know do you understand what coffee beans are? And we went like, I don't know. It just, it tastes good. And he goes, okay, so the coffee grows, they're like cherries. And the bean is inside the meat of the cherry.
Right.
So you have to dry them. You take the bean out, then you get that bean. That's what you roast. Mm-hmm. I didn't know any of that. Right? I just tasted it, and it's good. So he gave us a bunch of different tastes that we're creating a special blend for. And Rusty will have that there. He'll have drip coffee for drips, and he'll have espresso for espresso people. And he's there Saturday morning. And Rusty is a great guy. You'll love him. So Mountaineer Roasting, you'll enjoy Rusty. He'll have his espresso machine. He's got a portable. He got portable. Got a portable machine. You should check that out. All right, you ready to do some healing? This is more like, I don't know if it's healing this week as much as it's like celebratory.
Don't put that behind you.
I'm with you, dude. Here's what concerns me. 3 straight home games. 3 times you're asking people to come to the stadium back to back to back. I just asked somebody what the crowd's going to be. Not great.
Really? Because I got a different number then.
What do you got?
I got 53.
You think that's a great number?
53?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good number.
When it holds 60?
53 can make noise.
I got 50. I'm not saying it's bad, but I mean, like, I'd like a 58. I got 52.
You still got walk-up.
Weather's going to be nice, right?
Yeah. You got walk-up.
I thought 53. Look, we've seen the last couple of years, we've seen some crowds
Oh, I understand that, but they don't come home for a month after this one.
You're asking players to not have a letdown spot. Fans cannot have a letdown spot this week. Show up, be loud, carry them through.
It'll be loud. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine too. I think it'll be a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Textual Healing, by the way, is brought to us by episode800.com, episode800.com. You can go there and check out our fine line of merchandise and all the other sundry items. I think do we have baby powder on there now?
Everything.
I think baby powder, and I think we're also selling, we got canisters of 3-in-1 oil.
Of what?
3-in-1 oil, along with our merchandise and apparel.
Absolute must in every garage.
Jordan and family from Houston. I'm a P1 listener, and I'm a P1 food court attendee.
Nice.
What a weekend. Big Win Stadium, Sweet Caroline hopping, some momentum to get into the conference. I love the food court. My family and I there both days.
Ooh.
Friday, we show up at 3:30, and Dave said, come back in an hour. Brad and I later reflected about Scopes overcommitting again, but what are we going to do? Anyway, it's Tony. Anyway, my son Ethan really appreciated Spread's advice about his upcoming pursuit of a degree in sports media, his reflections about the industry, which were super helpful. Aren't you just Mr. Guidance Counselor?
Here to help.
Thank you again, Spreads. The Kirchville was cold. Rev Bev's barbecue, good as advertised. My wife, a 6th-generation Texan. My son, 7th generation, both born in Houston. They fully endorse the meat, and here is a picture of Ethan enjoying. That's the family. That's the whole thing. Yeah, look who's there. There he is. There's Ethan enjoying.
You liked it.
He's approving a P1 brisket taco. As good as we get in Houston, period. And oh, by the way, the pepperoni rolls from Oliveira is awesome. Had a couple. Check out my picture of a loaded pepperoni roll and just the right amount of peppers. Oh, there's the hots.
Yeah, it's the hots.
So there you go. Your daughter took that picture, he says. Love seeing you guys. Let's go Mountaineers. So Gigi's taking pictures now. She's in the business.
Took a couple. Yeah, she did a nice job. Framed it nicely. Look, you're in that picture too.
Yeah, look at that. Ain't that nice? Texter. As my dad would say, how about them Mountaineers? Great win over Pitt. Nico managed the offense, didn't do anything to lose the game. Defense played lights out. I even got my selfie with my favorite football player. I think my T-shirt sums up the Mountaineers' performance. Let's go. On to Texas Tech, signed by Brandon in Barrackville. Look at that. There's his favorite player. And the guy's wearing an Efforting T-shirt up there in the stands. That's awesome. Texter, hey guys. From the perspective of the businesses, I was really glad to see that your speakeasy went so well. From my point of view, I basically missed out on everything. I got there too late. I was fortunate enough that the gentleman managing beer sales was able to fix my wife and myself up. He had to borrow cups in order to accomplish it, but we were thankful. I love the Kirchville, hoping for better timing and luck next week if it's open. And by the way, great victory for the Mountaineers.
That was probably Dave, wasn't it?
Well, sure it was.
I mean, Dave.
Basically, that's the answer to anything involving that stuff.
Yeah, when
if
you
anybody
hear that,
did anything well, it came from Dave.
Signed by No One, suburbs of Dent, West Virginia.
Signed by, what's his name?
No One.
Oh, probably not a real name.
Signed by No One.
Glad they got some Kirchville.
Yeah. This is Steven from Wheeling. I was the one at the Waterfront Marriott along with my friend from college, Casey from California. First of all, it was awesome meeting you guys as well as Sean McDonough. You guys were as cool as can be. We were both caught off guard when we turned the corner and saw the three of you sitting there. After we left, we thought of several things we wish we would have asked you guys. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk again soon. Casey came all the way from California for the game, and meeting you guys was an added bonus to his trip. Lastly, we both got a kick out of Sean when Casey said that he works for UC Irvine. Sean's response was, oh yeah, go Anteaters. Like, who knows that off the top of their head? P.S. It was a nice gesture by Sean to pay for our breakfast. I wore that like a badge of honor on Saturday. Hey, the guy announcing the game on ABC tonight bought my breakfast yesterday.
He did.
Yeah.
Wonderful breakfast, fine English muffins, and a warm cup of coffee.
A nice latte.
I love
it. Was
it.
nice of Sean to do that.
That was nice. That's a very nice gesture. Of course, he built ABC, but
not true, Hoppy. Dear three guys, Professor Vinny here. Charlie from Midlothian mentioned a great podcast metric on the 488th episode, I believe, called Comments After Texts, CATs. However, we also need an adjusted comments after text, or ACAT, metric. Not all comments after the text relate to the text during the podcast. We could also add a metric for text read on the podcast, or TROPs. You take your texts that have been read on the podcast, divide by the number of you've received for the text line. For instance, I've got a healthy 55% trop rate. Metrics are fun. By the way, I bet Pitt -1. You're welcome, everyone. Here's hoping I'd lose another 5 on Texas Tech next week. Professor Vinny there in Chicago.
Good work, Vinny.
This one I talked about last night on Sportsline. It came from Not Beiser from Kaiser. Really super short, I'll make it. When West Virginia has beaten Texas Tech in Big 12 play, they average 8 wins a year. When West Virginia's lost to Texas Tech in Big 12 play, the Mountaineers average 5.5 wins. That's the gist of it.
Causation, correlation.
This is the Maryland. This is the new Maryland game. When they win, they average 8 wins a year. When they lose, they average 5.5. It's the new Maryland game. Texas Tech's averaged 36 points per game against West Virginia under Neal, and the Mountaineers have averaged just 18. You guys were talking about getting to 30. So thank you very much, Not Beiser from Kaiser. Texter.
Hello!
Tony Brad, part-time Hoppy. I'm sorry we missed you and Brad on Saturday at the Speakeasy. Homeless Dave was great. We really enjoyed talking with him and taking in some Kirchville. I also got to meet Rev Kev, who was equally awesome. We sampled the tacos, had some brisket. It was outstanding. Ranks there with one of my other favorites, Dem Two Brothers in Charleston. We stopped by later in the day for some Greenbrier Dairy ice cream. No words to describe how good that rolled Oreo was.
True that.
Very impressed, had a great time. We really enjoyed the painted sign at the event. With all due respect. We got a problem here, Hoppy. The spelling of do probably drove Hoppy crazy. May have missed on that.
Yeah, that's a miss.
Finally, Homeless Dave, and I think you may need some specialized event security work for you guys. Let me know if you need my services. Signed by Tony, for Big Tony from Daniels. Yeah. Well, Hoppy, maybe that was done intentionally. Just maybe. Just maybe. Greg in Catlettsburg, heck of a dirt-kicking rock fight Saturday for the win. I loved it. Hope you can roll with all the momentum. Questions. Which other Big 12 game do you find most intriguing this week? UCF K-State or BYU Kansas? Would spreads rather break down the matchup between Oak State and Iowa State or try to find what Temple needs to do against Miami in the Big East game of the week? P.S. Rutger is 3-0. Yeah. Texter. I figured out why
By the way, real quick, that Oklahoma State-Iowa State total.
Let me guess. 42.
Oh, my gosh, you're high.
31.
Low. 36.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Texter, I figured out why Pitt's offense seemed so sluggish Saturday night. According to the ACC's official Facebook page, Pitt must have played another game before they played West Virginia. They appear to have lost in similar fashion to a small university called UWV. That may be worse than listing our games in Central Time, signed by Matt and Kaiser. So the ACC lists the West Virginia game as UWV 17,
Good
Pitt 6.
Lord, get it together.
What is
Texter, Jake, originally from Preston County, now living in West Texas. I coach middle school football. Road game last Thursday. One of the guys on the chain gang wearing a WVU polo. Just further proves there's a West Virginia connection wherever you may be. Texter, gentlemen, I wanted to get this over earlier, but I was a tad preoccupied with the recent mauling of the Panthers. I wanted to let you know that the Speakeasy before the Pitt game hit the spot. It should be known that the food was fantastic. The company was even better. Tony and Brad hung and talked with us like we knew them for years. It felt like we were personally invited on a VIP list. It would have been great to meet Hoppy as well. However, it was a little past noon, and we figured it was late for him, and he'd be getting ready for bed. As a Jersey native and alum, it's great to get back to West Virginia. What West Virginia holds, great people, great times, and a great game day atmosphere. These should keep happening. I patted my stomach for the tailgate with top-notch food for under 20 bills. It's a great way for small businesses to grow, which can only help all things Morgantown, including the athletic programs. Sincerely, Jersey Jeff.
That was nice, Jeff. Thank you.
I was there Friday for, an hour and a half, had a great visit, talked to everybody there. It was a beautiful day. And then Saturday, I know, Brad, you were there. Tony, you were there. I feel bad about not making an appearance. I did something else on Saturday morning. It was kind of too late. And then I just get and Tony, this is just me. I mean, you have a game to do. You have more responsibilities than I do. I mean, you got to call the game. I just get kind of focused in, and I want to go to work.
I understand.
And so it's just not.
I understand.
Doesn't work for me exactly.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all right. You don't need to apologize. It's fine. You're busy. That Jersey Jeff, you remember him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we started talking with him, and he was like, and I immediately just jumped him, didn't I? I just said, what? I said, stop. I said, what part of New Jersey are you from? He was like, how you know I'm from New Jersey? I said, well, I said, because you talk 300 miles an hour, you're angsty, like you're really like tense and nervous. I said, chill out, dude. You're back in West Virginia. Take a deep breath. You went to school here. Breathe it in. We're not home. You don't have to protect yourself. No one's coming after you here. Just relax. A wonderful guy.
He did relax. He had a great time.
He finally chilled. I think he had 8 Kirchhoffels in order to relax him. But
that'll
teasing. No, he was good dude. Social worker. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, very nice guy. South Jersey, Cherry Hill area. Tony, just some clarification on that Pitt field goal. So the whole ball must. So this is actually he's talking. Is he talking about Pitt or talking about Iowa State?
Maybe Iowa State.
I think he's talking about the whole ball on a field goal must pass through the inside of the upright. If it goes over the upright or any portion of the ball not inside the upright, it's no good. Great job, fellas, because that Iowa State. And then Andy, the other official, texted later and said, the camera angle that you keep seeing of that field goal is a bad angle. The official's looking straight up at the pipe. And if that pipe shows any part of the ball over on that side, they're going to call it no good.
Kind of like when TV gives you an angle behind the line on the scientific marking of the spot of the ball.
We love that.
Most important part of the game, big 3rd or 4th down. Let's come wobbling in.
Come running in.
Waving, weaving, bobbing, weaving 35 yards. And I think it is right here.
Here's exactly where the ball should go.
Bring out our chain link fence. We'll measure this.
Can I give 2 shout-outs?
Sure.
Ross Mara, Bridgeport native, Ross Mara, hired here as an assistant athletic director and tried to charge a digital video this summer. He was the head of it at Wake Forest, came back home. And he has put together a couple of video pieces this season already that make you go, wow. And his recap of the Pitt game is off the chart.
Oh, really?
Stunning how good it is.
Really good.
Where do you access
really
said video?
Social media platforms. I'll come over, we'll turn your computer on, crank up the handle, and we'll show it to you later on. I mean, it's stunning, cinematic.
Really?
Fantastic. I shared it with Sean.
He's featured in it.
He is. They used some of my audio calls, and he said, that is absolutely outstanding. Excellent.
Was. Well, Ross is elite.
Ross is absolutely fantastic.
By the way, while you're doing shout-outs, need to give one to a listener.
Yeah.
Doesn't text, but he listens religiously. Kai.
Huh?
Kai. You know where Kai's listening from? Just outside of Seattle.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Kai.
We're big in
Appreciate it.
West
by the
Virginia
way,
connection?
Yeah, well, West Virginia guy.
Hey, how about this
Yeah,
one?
lives just outside of Seattle now. Listens. Thank you, Kai.
By the way, I was looking at our analytics, our metrics this week, and breaking down all the states. We had in the last 30 days, we've had people listening to this podcast in 48 of the 50 states. The frickin' Dakotas.
I was just going to say, just what are the 2 that aren't?
The frickin' Dakotas giving us the finger.
Both?
North and south.
We're not big in north or south. Nor.
Nope.
Neither.
Dakotas out.
So
We got people in Hawaii and Alaska listening to Dakotas. Just like,
Shocked by that.
well, I guess maybe there's no West Virginians in the Dakotas.
Well, I would imagine one had to crawl through at some point. Also, we got another controversy brewing.
Uh-oh.
Post offices.
Excuse me?
Post offices.
What's the problem?
You remember how I told you a couple of weeks ago, I told you how good and nice those guys are in the Star City post office? Right? They're great guys.
Okay.
Friendly, nice. So I go over to the High Street post office today.
Uh-oh. Are you
Drop
going to
something.
offend the United States Postal Service?
Absolutely not.
Okay. go
Absolutely
ahead.
not.
He is.
So Jonas is working the front. Jonas is working counter down High Street post office. Like, you're a lover of customer service?
Yeah.
Like, he could work at any Four Seasons hotel any hotel in the world. Greatest customer
Jonas.
service. Yeah. So he basically, and he goes, hey, did you tape the three guys yet today? I said, well, actually, I'm going to go in there and do it at 12:30.
Yeah.
I said, big listener, are you a listener? He goes, oh, yeah, absolutely love it. He says, the guys over at Star City had called me when, you gave them a shout out. And I'm thinking, okay, now here's the controversy. There's a massive competition that I didn't know about. High Street and Star City post offices, who can be nicer?
Oh, that's a good competition.
Exactly.
Can more businesses do that?
Yeah. Those guys are absolutely like Mr. Post Office Master. Like, those guys are the role model for great customer service in the post office. Great guys.
Great work on both branches.
Absolutely.
Of the U.S. Postal Service.
So if you want to be treated nicely, go to High Street, go to Star City.
Don't forget about Saberton Post Office.
I'm not familiar with them. Nothing against them. Just don't make it over that far.
You just don't know if they're in the competition?
I'm sure it's a nice post office.
Frequent user of the Saberton Post Office.
Good people over there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Very convenient.
Right near the KFC, isn't it?
Right across the KFC and behind the sheets.
Get yourself a bucket of chicken and a roll of stamps. Hoppy, great Rolling Stones reference to the pit game. Hoppy, we collectively love you, which is why we collectively like to mess with you. Per previous long text from me and a question you did not answer, I feel West Virginia is beautiful, centrally located, and full of good people. Why, Hoppy, does the young talent leave wild and wonderful? Yeah, we can blame Cole, but it feels like something else is amiss. I would love your thoughts on this conundrum. No young people, no opportunity. I'm deeply grateful for the hard work in my childhood in West Virginia. When I visit the state, it's a humbling experience that this is where I am from and things I have accomplished that might not have happened if I stayed in my home state, my heart. As a side note, my wife from Morgantown, both living in Utah, asked why is BYU football and basketball playing in West Virginia, not in Utah? I said there are a lot of Cougar fans that want to see BYU play. It's about the money. We wait patiently, looking forward to meeting you sometime and having an embracing Mountaineer hug from ear to ear, signed by Yogi Chris in Salt Lake City. Hoppy, he put a lot on your plate. Speak to that.
Well,
and by the way, you have 8 seconds. Go.
Okay. First of all, there's some demographic issues. West Virginia's population's been stagnant since the 1960s. We're about 1.78 million people. So you haven't had you don't have population growth, so you don't have as many young people. Second is that couples aren't having as many children. So you see high schools consolidating. You know well about the enrollment issues at WVU and some other colleges. So you just don't have as many young people. That's the second issue. And the third is that while the economy of the state has gotten better, there have been a lot of years there where the economy has contracted, and you've had businesses closing down. And so young people are very mobile these days, and they, look for other opportunities. It's not when we were growing up. Well, maybe not you, Brad, or even you, Tony. It was kind of a big deal to leave, right? Unless you just had to. Now it's just like, oh, so what? I'll go here, I'll go there. I mean, it's not as big a deal. So West Virginia is gradually starting to reverse that trend, but it's got a long way to go.
That was well done. Can we give another shout out?
Yeah, because I was going for it as he was jumping in the top.
Before we started recording,
I was asked.
I wasn't criticizing.
Well, you just took a shot.
Why do you have to attack? I said you were just going on. It gave me a chance to eat a dessert here.
Hey, Luke, fire up those pictures that we got. Before we started recording today, the folks at Homegrown Pizza in the absolutely luscious area of Delslow, West Virginia, brought us the slaughterhouse in there.
Oh,
there is a pepperoni and there is sausage on that bad boy.
And bacon.
And it was absolutely fantastic. Senator showed restraint. I didn't. And how
many pieces did you have?
I had 3. After two, I went, there's the cannoli that they brought. Like, I pulled this great move. I said, you want to share a half a pizza? And he goes, no, I'm good. I said, well, I'm going to go get a knife. I'm going to cut it in half. So I go get the knife, and I slice it, and I ate it. Then I sliced another piece off. I ate the whole damn piece. So it was really good. I'm glad I brought the knife. And then these things here, these Nutter Butters with peanut butter in them.
Much discussed before. Elite. Scott and Julie at Homegrown.
Yeah.
So go see them. Tell them we sent you. Get some cannoli, the Nutter Butters, and that's the Slaughterhouse Pizza if you're looking
really
for the specific order. Thank you, guys.
3 guys, what do you make of Texas Tech's 73 receptions so far this season to West Virginia's 39?
They throw it a lot, and they throw it a lot, and they throw it some more, and West Virginia is not a pass-heavy team.
He says, I understand spreads' route running efficiency stat, not LOL, but don't we simply need to be getting guys the ball through the air more in order to keep pace with the remaining teams?
Moving forward, yes. You did not need to the other night. We've said it all summer. This team's going to have to run. That 200-yard mark that it's averaging right now, that's the number. It's got to get to 200. The 150 that you had the other night against Pitt, you won the game. I don't know that that's enough for this team. I think that 200 mark is where it's got to shoot for, and then you need to hope that the passing game continues to take a step up. For example, there were moments in that game, there were 2 slants that Nico threw that were absolute seeds.
Yes.
You can't throw it any better. He showed arm strength. He showed accuracy. It was perfect. Protection, get the hands down on the line, deliver the ball, and 2 good contested catches. You just need more of those, right? The little rollout to Cole Taylor. I like that play, but also teams have seen that now, so you're going to have to adjust and come up with the next evolution. You're going to have to throw it.
And this feels like you never want to get behind, but this feels like a game that you don't want to get too far behind because of what Tech does and because you're more deliberate than Tech is.
Before the season started, everyone was just absolutely beaming about what this offensive line could be this season, and rightfully so. And the words elite were constantly used. I said they don't need to be elite. They need to be good every single Saturday.
Consistent.
But you know what they need to be this Saturday? They need to be elite.
Yeah.
This needs to be the bounce. Like, you're always going to be really good. This week, because of the situation, potentially at quarterback, you have to be elite. You have to smash these guys. You have to control the ball. You have to run it even when they know you're going to run it, and you have to run it. That's what you have to do. You need to be elite. This average and good this week isn't going to be probably good enough. You have to be elite. We have to have people getting absolutely pancaked repeatedly, and the crowd needs to see it. They need to enjoy it. This crowd needs to come up, and they need to appreciate hard, physical running of the football. That's what needs to happen.
I'll see you this week and raise you the rest of the season. I don't think good's good enough for this particular makeup of this team. I think it has to be elite in forcing the run game. Again, you're going to have to throw it enough to back people off you, because other teams know this too. They're going to just load on you. But I think in order for West Virginia to get to 6, maybe even 7 games moving forward, the line has to be elite. If it's not, I think you're going to bog down.
Jeremy from Cooperstown, New York. Used to live here in the state until 06. My question, is there a more heated rivalry in the country than West Virginia Pitt? I know all the big ones, but seriously, I can't stop smiling after Saturday night's win. I love the show.
Well, West Virginia has no bigger rival, but there's other
Auburn,
rivals, Michigan,
Alabama,
Ohio State,
yeah.
Army, Navy, Alabama, Auburn.
Yes, this one's right there. This one is right there. You may not have the national rankings, but what this rivalry has drawn the last 2
Are you
seasons,
still?
I'm still eating. Sorry.
I mean, we just
swallow it.
Hey, take a 30-second time.
Yeah,
out.
we can-
Just
Well, I
let
had to get that in. He was
Hoppy
gonna move on.
Hoppy and I'll carry on.
God.
I got
Things are good. I know you won't eat it, but they're very good.
I know it's delicious, and once you start, you can't stop because it's that good.
Yeah, the whole thing. Let's just go.
Texter, and then also some people taking shots at me from Sunday.
What?
This guy, wise guy, Brett in Fairmont, just wanted to make sure I got my post-Texas Tech text in on time so Scopes will read it. Hopefully Monday before 9 a.m., 6 days prior to the game being played is early enough.
Good job, Brent.
Love the show, guys.
Brett.
Had a great time at the food court Saturday.
That's because you were
He's right. You did attack everybody about your deadlines on Sunday, so he's right. He's just following your rules. You set the rules. He just abided by them.
Let's set the rule right. Brett. Hey, let's set the rule right now for this Sunday. We're going to record again at 10:30?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to be included in the texts for Sunday's show, it has to be no later than 7 a.m. Because I'm going to get up about 7:30 and put them all together. So 7 a.m. or else you're out. Boats leaving.
That's better than the last time because the way you said it was like, listen, if you want me to read your text, you're going to have to do this because I'm too busy from this time to check it. So this is on you. It was an attitude. It wasn't a deadline itself. It was the attitude about the deadline. Am I right or am I right?
Solid point.
And there was a little bit of attitude in what you just said, too.
Let me just tell you this. When we first started this show, I don't think it was videotaped. And if we weren't on video right now, I'd make a gesture towards you.
It's podcast. I think you can do it still if you want.
Nah.
So what's the deadline?
We made drinks.
No, I'm a little...
Like, I'm out. I thought I had something left. Ate that whole Nutter Butter. Need something to drink.
That was, wow. That was random. Like you just finished eating like... Something to drink here. What do we got?
I got to wash that Nutter Butter down.
What kind of place is this?
I mean, we're recording. Do you think we're at a tailgate somewhere?
No, but you know what I'd take down right now? One of those strawberry lemonade tardy time drinks. I'd take that thing in one sip right now.
Hey, Luke, show us those tardy time pancake or the pancake chocolate thing there. That's unbelievable. Have you seen this thing, Hoppy? This chocolate pancake with whip. Look at that thing. That's that's Saturday morning from tardy time. Ooh. That's called pancake breakfast.
Nice.
I like a nice cold Kirchhoff, but I got there Friday. I got that lemonade. So that's the best lemonade I ever had. I got all excited about the lemonade. It was really good.
Lemonade was good. A lot of flavors.
It's amazing what a half cup of sugar will do.
Hey, by the way,
very good.
The folks at the wine bar. Remember I mentioned those mimosas?
I met them.
Yeah, they're great people.
Yeah, Duke and Abbey. Awesome.
This is what they're doing: apple cider mimosa to welcome the fall season, cranberry for the folks who think Christmas is around the corner, and pineapple for those still hanging on to summer, and many more.
Ooh.
Yeah,
well covered.
You know what I think the mistake is in mimosas?
No,
not enough champagne. They do it half and half. I think it should be mostly champagne and just a little a fourth of whatever the fruit juice is.
Interesting. Well, I'm sure my man Duke over there will take care of you. You just tell him what you want.
Well, and then if I get into that, it's going to be a long broadcast day. Probably shouldn't do that, especially if Tech gets out to a big lead early. Could get ugly.
Texter, random sports broadcasting question. Why does every broadcaster say caroomed when every human being in the world says bounced?
You mean caromed?
Yeah, that too. That's why I never use the word.
Anybody says caroomed.
I've
never ever heard a broadcaster say
now they
caroomed.
do. Bring it. You got to bring it on Saturday. Bring caroom. Because we're using it during ours. We're going to use it during ours.
Terrible.
You got to find a way to get it
that
in
ball
there.
caroomed right out of me.
I can't believe that. That caroomed right off the upright. Well, we're using it.
Well, let me just say this. I can tell you one broadcaster who doesn't use the word, me. Caromed. Hey, so I earn a living by speaking, but sometimes I manhandle words.
What do you mean manhandle?
I say them wrong.
We all do.
My wife kills me. You want to hear a funny one? This is bad. I'll just do it.
What?
Facade.
Yeah, facade.
Facade. Okay.
What do you say?
What do you say?
Faced?
You just said it correctly there.
Yeah, now. I said it did it in passing. I was reading something real quick. I said fakeade. She kills me. She kills me to this day. She said, what did you just say?
Were you reading it?
Yeah, I was like, fakeade. And she goes, what did you just say? Yeah. I
cut people slack on that. You're saying thousands of words. You're gonna mess some up.
You said that word wrong. You must pay.
Hey, three guys, Jeff in Lumberport. I just finished episode 489. You guys crack me up while giving me some of the best WVU news out there efforting. I just checked website, episode800.com. No hankies yet. Hoppy seemed to have gotten my pun about the picture of him wiping sweat, as he doesn't work physically to break a sweat very often unless the AC is out. We all know that when he goes outside, he messes up an ankle as an excuse to go back in. Just kidding, True. By the way. Where has his bell been? Kind of missed that thing. Anyway, any ETA on when, if the hankies will be available with or without Hoppy's mug on them? Efforting, waiting. Have a good day. Let's go Mountaineers.
You can't help yourself. You just can't get away from him.
A white handkerchief today.
It's a truce. He's throwing up the white handkerchief.
I forgot the big boy.
We will do a handkerchief, I think. Texter loved that the backyard brawl was an old school slobber knocker. Made my beverage vessel, vintage 1988, seem appropriate. Signed by Jonathan from Charleston with land in Ritchie County. There it is, old school 1989 plastic cup.
I rewatched the end of the game, which was particularly enjoyable because it did feel old school of the defense making plays, getting stops, winning the game. It's great.
Yeah, I liked it too. Texter, Brad. You're absolutely correct. One cannot play the Three Guys podcast at 1.5 speed.
Told you.
Your rapid delivery at that speed sounds like a 33 RPM record played at 78. I'm showing my age now. However, at 1.25, your articulate delivery flows like a smooth running train. Keep up the good work. Signed by CL in Clarksburg.
Thanks, CL.
That is an old reference. How many people go, what, 33 1/3?
I try and slow down, but I run tempo.
Yeah, you do run tempo.
You and Dana.
You don't take many breaks.
Yeah. Hey, three guys, watching the Mountaineers pull off the win against Pitt relit a hope for Mountaineer Nation. I'll be at Canaan Valley for a golf-filled bachelor party this weekend.
Oh, my.
How about a shout-out for the groom-to-be? His name is Patrick. Let's go, Mountaineers. Congratulations, Patrick, on your bachelor party at Canaan. We hope that you boys behave and drink your Kirchhoff and be under the covers by 10 p.m.
Be responsible.
Fellas, I had a great time taking my boys to their first backyard brawl Saturday night. Reminded me of when my wife was pregnant. I used to put headphones onto her stomach and play old Mountaineer clips from Jack Fleming and Tony. My wife wishes that I was kidding. 16 years later, my son, now a junior in high school, is 8 up with Mountaineer sports. He even creates hype videos before each game under the name Craig Edits. Check it out if you get a chance. Link forthcoming, signed by Steve and Eleanor. And I did. I went and looked at the link.
Oh, wow.
And it blows my mind how kids, and his son's a junior, the work that kids are doing is just wow. Everyone wants to grow up and be Ross Mara, right? And, you know, when Ross Mara was a young guy, he was looking at the stuff that Danny Lohman edited together during the Rich Rod era. And those were like wows. And now, yeah. So anyway, I looked at it. I'm going to talk to the young fella and try to give him some career advice.
Excellent.
Gentlemen, I'm a youngish listener. Didn't really follow the team growing up. I did own a Pat White jersey when I was in elementary school, but had started following the team during the Geno Smith years. This year, excited to make my first brawl. I'll never forget my first game with 60,000 chanting, and I'm glad I got to bring my wife to her first as well. Also, we had a great time at the Three Guys food court tailgate, but with all due respect, I believe that all due respect was spelled wrong. Unacceptable. I will continue to show up to check out the progress of the fix. I can assure you, I will not be getting any more delicious barbecue, tacos, drums of lemonade, or my wife and I's favorite beer to be named after a Three Guys host. Oh, we will get that. I will not be getting any more. I can assure you. Oh, anyway. Texter. Remember I talked about the fire marshal had a gun?
Yeah.
Pat from Wheeling writes in, was the fire marshal carrying a water pistol? Thought that was funny. Had a super soaker.
They were... Fire marshal, very helpful in the process, by the way.
Oh, that's terrific.
Speaking of youngish listeners, can I make a correction?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But one of our younger listeners, Camden, mentioned on the podcast last time we did a podcast. Camden, remember? Young guy, saw him out in the community, said he listens to the podcast, his own, downloads it himself. Yes. You were quizzing me on what grade young Camden was in.
Okay.
Told you I didn't know. You kept going, wouldn't stop. Got it wrong. Not middle school. He's in 9th grade.
Okay.
It's brought to my attention.
Freshman.
Yeah. So thank you again, Camden.
Error corrected.
9th grader.
We correct all our mistakes.
We do.
Most of them.
Some.
Adam checks in.
Yeah, this one.
No, not many.
Adam checks in from the east side of Mill Creek. All the talk about Hoppy's hanky over the last few weeks brought back memories of the horrible hanky from the 1980s. Maybe you all could bring back a Three Guys version. Somewhere, buried in a box, I have a blue one. Great win over Pitt. Now let's go beat Tech. There it is. Horrible hanky.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Was that from, was that West Virginia?
Yeah, it says WV on the bottom
I
there.
don't remember that either.
Texter, Tony, where did you take Sean on your coffee run with Brad? Also, Sean is ESPN's top guy, in my opinion. I attended the game, so to make up for it, I had to rewatch the entire game Sunday morning because there's something special about him calling night games. Thanks for sharing stories and your fantastic impression of him. A wonderful impression. Fine broadcaster from the New England area who had a great time here at West Virginia.
Where's he this week?
I didn't look yet.
I didn't see either.
I didn't look yet.
So he does the A game, or it depends.
Technically, he does the 2 game, which is a subject of debate.
What?
He's the 2 game, but he's a one broadcaster.
He's the one, in my opinion,
Yeah,
and that's
agreed.
not just because I know him. He's the one. He's the guy. He's the guy. But anyway, doesn't matter, I think. Here's a picture of some leftover fat from the brisket that Tony was eating while he was chatting with us. I call this chewing the fat with 3 guys. Anyway, I had a picture of somebody. So someone that I don't even remember who I was talking to. They took a picture of the plate that I left after Rev Kev sent me some brisket over.
Probably not much fat at all.
No, it's just tremendous.
Plus, you have to have a little bit of fat there for the flavor.
Yeah. Texter. Hello! Mike from Salem. A couple of matters of business. Not that this program has been known to beat a dead horse, but the Hoppy Chief, which is like a handkerchief.
Hoppy Chief.
The Hoppy Chief needs to have a mauve option along with 2 other obvious colors. Number 2, lately you've been comparing the show's lifespan to that of the Beatles. It's an insult to the program in the opinion of this 31-year-old.
Good point.
If they were any good, they would have had a song on Tony Hawk, Pro Skater 1 or 2. Besides, this podcast doesn't have its Yoko, so y'all will be just fine.
Well, you don't know that.
That was a good text.
It was.
Hoppy Chief.
I keep trying to convince that the wives should do a show. Can't get. It's not even efforting, I guess.
Karen wouldn't do it.
What's that?
Karen wouldn't do it.
She might if the other 2 did.
Would Laura do it?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Joan?
I don't know. If she could just crush me continually, she might do it.
Well, she can.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Just all 3 just crushes for like an hour. Let me tell you something.
She came over. When was she? She was there Friday night.
Oh, was she?
She was there. Yeah. She was there Friday night. Texter. 3 guys. Hello. Mountaineer fan here. Had the privilege of marching in the pride of West Virginia during the golden era of Major Harris. Let me begin by saying that I fully understand the importance of winning, especially given the landscape of the modern game. I also understand the importance of having a man of obvious integrity, who I believe is a student of the game, coaching this football team in the person of Neal Brown. I have faith that the wins will come, but I grow frustrated with the oft-times vitriolic attacks on our head coach from portions of the fan base who seem to have no concept of how difficult it is to win at this level or run a program. How does one keep this negativity from ruining the experience of the football season? I love the show. Go Mountaineers, signed by Jeff in Winchester, Virginia.
A couple observations there. One is that you got to try, if that's the approach you want to take, you got to try to tune it out, number 1. Number 2, that I hope Neal Brown has success. I hope he stays the head coach. I think there's so many positives to him. But the reality is you're making $4 million a year, you got to win. I mean, that's just, you'd like to have it all, right? But you got to win. You have to win. And and he knows that. I mean, you're not breaking any news. I mean, he knows that too.
3 guys, I started to lose hope in our Mountaineers after week 1, but Matt from Section 106 convinced me to keep the faith, so glad he kept me on the wagon. Looking forward to West Virginia's swing through the Lone Star State, starting with the 7 Central kick in Fort Worth. I found 4 tickets today for that game on the 40-yard line for $25 each, so needless to say, the Horned Frogs are less enthused than me. Ask Neal to go easy on the Cougs in October. Sincerely yours, Dana from Houston.
Oh, by the way, Tony, last week when or Sunday maybe, we were near the end of the show, and you said, we have a time on the TCU game.
Yeah.
It's 7:00 because you had talked to somebody.
That was on Monday when you let me come on to your little trading post station.
Oh, that's right. Okay. And you said, I just talked to my buddy at
TCU.
At TCU, it's 7:00.
Yeah, his time.
7:00 Central Time.
He gave it to me in Central.
Those Central Time people are really, they're just...
Central Time bias.
Heavy Central Time bias.
And the league, the conference just continues to flip the bird at everyone who's not in Central. They just continue to compulsively post everything in Central Time. It's an absolute comic show.
Embarrassment.
Even the BYU games?
Everything's done in Central. Like you guys
Conference that says it wants to be in multiple time zones can't seem to get out of the Central.
I mean,
greetings, my 3 favorite podcast hosts. This clown show is favorite part of my week on the unimportant things in life. Still reveling in the feeling from Saturday. I enjoy the food court, though I hate we were too late to get some of that barbecue.
Got to get there early.
I know that we were all dismayed with the 14th place projected finish. I thought it would be better. Now comes the time to prove it. Since you've talked to some Big 12 this season, and we're 25% through the season, I'd love to hear your picks for the bottom 4. Mine are, your top 2 teams are going to be Texas and Oklahoma. Bottom 4, no order. Houston, not pretty good. Baylor, Iowa State, and Okie State. I see the guys in gold and blue finishing 7 or 8. Afraid there is just not enough big plays to get more wins. Thanks. Let's go. That's Jay in Midlothian.
I think what you're seeing is exactly what, Brad, what you talked about when those preseason rankings came out, is you got about 10 teams in there.
Yeah.
That are, you know.
Yeah, we talked 4 through 14 were jumbled up. I think you add 3 through 14 in there. What's Kansas State look like? They've moshed through some games. Will Howard may be hurt. And Oklahoma and Texas look really good early. Oklahoma hasn't played anybody yet, but they've been very good with Dylan Gabriel. Texas's win over Alabama obviously buys them the credibility to back up what people thought about them coming into the season. I think there's a lot of games coming the rest of the season that are coin flip games, just as we thought before the season. So I think it's right where we thought the league would be.
Yeah. And I think I don't know what the deal is with Oklahoma State. They're really struggling, but it just might be that where there's a lot of teams in the league are like 3-3, 3-4, 4-3.
No
I mean, just like that, right?
Yeah, I think that's the answer.
Hi, 3 guys. I listen to every episode. In doing that, at times I find myself using some of the different sayings that are often repeated on this program. I also pastor a church, and I've made up a small list of things that make 3 guys great but don't really work in my interactions with the congregation. Number 1, responding efforting to a church member asking how something's coming along.
How's
2,
your salvation? Efforting.
2, a tongue click after a good point in my sermons.
Now that would be really good.
3, following a music solo from a member with, pretty good.
See, I disagree, Bob. I think all of these work. I think absolutely all of them can be fit in there.
No question.
Exactly.
That's Bob in Clarksburg, right?
Yeah. Fine. Man of the cloth. Texter, hello, Scope, Spreads, and Hoppenheimer. Still riding high on the brawl. As I see it, we're Western Pennsylvania state champions. After the brawl, adrenaline pumping, there was no chance of sleep, so I took in Colorado State, and I accounted for the monster rating of 9+ million viewers. Got me to thinking. I feel like you could make an argument that with the juggernaut that Colorado has become and the talent that Utah brings, the loss of Oklahoma and Texas may be worst case, a push for the new Big 12. What do you say? Looking forward to the food court this week, keeping my fingers crossed for some Friday evening hours. Well, you got it, big boy Terry. We're there until 10.
By the way, on Colorado is obviously the early season attraction, and they have a great quarterback. Sanderson is really, he is pro quality. But hang on, just it's early
Long
here.
season.
Hang on a second.
Well,
Long season.
They're big boy dogs this weekend.
Oregon,
big boy dogs. 21-point dogs. Yeah, I think people think their bubble's going to burst.
Actually, 21 points, Brad. I might take Colorado though on that.
For amusement purposes only.
No, it's actually not. You can actually place a bet if you want. You don't have to say that anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Nope, actually placing that to win some money.
Texter, hello, Scopes.
Is that a good play?
It'd be hard to not take that.
21 points?
Yeah, it'd be hard to not take that. But Travis Hunter's out. They're great two-way
player.
player.
They're two-way
Colorado has a ton of flaws. They haven't shown themselves yet. Autzon's a tough place to play. I'd have to dive more into it, but I wouldn't yell at you for taking it.
By the way, Sunday night they had Deion Sanders' story on 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
I know this. Okay, I get it. I'm a little bit OD'd on the story.
Yeah, some people are, but the numbers come through. I guarantee that segment did good numbers.
Well, the game did incredible. The game did incredible numbers. It's at 2:00 in the morning. There's incredible numbers.
Fascinating dude right now.
Texter, Scope, Senator Hoppy, longtime listener, first-time texter. Thank you guys for everything you do. This silly podcast makes us all feel like we are family. Enjoy every episode. The food court was great. We'll be back this weekend. Signed by J&J Lawnmower Repair in Putnam County. P.S. I would text more often, but my battery's always dead.
Thank God those are the guys that can fix it.
Don't ask Brad. No idea.
Just have guys.
Hey, 3 guys.
Gotta have guys.
This
Just
is Eric.
know people. They help me.
Eric writes in, I'm visiting Chicago this week. Not nearly as exciting as last week's trip to Banff. I'm listening to a downloaded episode on the flight to Chicago to drown out others on the flight. I forgot a key item in my text last week. I finally found Kercheval at the Speakeasy. It was great to have with the awesome Rev Kev barbecue in the pit game. I'm hoping to stop by the Speakeasy again this weekend, maybe catching Hoppy during the 5 minutes that he's there. I'm looking forward to these guaranteed mimosas. I apologize on my picture snafu last week. First-time texter mistake. For Tony, the hotel I stayed at in Banff was the Malcolm Hotel. Looking forward to a Texas Tech win and with hopefully an expanded playbook for Nico. I'm looking forward to trying the new coffee being offered on episode800.com. I appreciate everything you gentlemen do. Great shows, great West Virginia business support. So there it is.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Luke,
nice.
show that's a hotel, but show that water. That's in Banff. That is
beautiful.
It's unbelievable. I've been there. That is absolutely the calcium or something in the water makes it like so blue that it hurts your eyes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so that was Eric, who was in Canada on Thursday. He was at the event Friday and Saturday for us.
Yeah, came in.
Good travel.
Hey, guys, one thing about the Pitt game no one's mentioned is how this Pitt fan turned on their team. After the game, a quite large Pitt fan came down to us, as we expected, a brawl from our trash talk. He simply shook our hand and said, "Good game. I'm not here for you guys. I'm after Narduzzi." He then proceeded to try to meet their head coach at the field entrance to fight him.
Oh, my gosh.
Not good for the Steel City Sissy-Cats. Oh, well, on to the battle for John Denver and Nico We Trust, signed by Caleb from the edge of the gorge in Fayetteville.
So Nico starts. Nico is the guy this week, correct? That's where you would put your money?
Could be. It's one of two possibilities.
Yes.
Thank you.
Charlie from Midlothian resending a text I sent Sunday morning at 9:55 a.m. that was not included because it was way past the 8:30 a.m. Caridi curmudgeon deadline.
Boy, I'll say.
Rutgers defeated Virginia Tech Saturday. Undefeated Rutgers plays number 2 Michigan this Saturday.
Boy, Tech's got some problems.
Rutgers,
Virginia Tech.
Rutgers 3-0.
Yeah. Texter. I almost sent a text in Sunday, but I likely would have missed the strict deadline for Sunday's show. I hope the Mountaineers get over the hump against the Red Raiders. I'm not trying to look backward too long, but I'm happy for Neal, hopefully able to take a breath and enjoy last Saturday. Happy for the defense to step up. Happy for Nico. Tony, I also loved your video promo before the game. The atmosphere inside the stadium was the best it's been in a long time. I hope Brad did not get PTBD, post-traumatic blimp disorder, after seeing the Goodyear/Comax blimp. Keep up the awesome show. God bless you guys. Let's go Mountaineers. Signed by Kevin in Mountainship. He wrote it TAHN-ship, Township.
Township.
By the way, a Kaiser. 3 guys. This is the real Morgan in Morgantown. Morgan is ranked as the 860th most popular name given in the United States. Estimated 45,300 Morgans. So I'm not surprised that other Morgans have been coming out of the woodwork. I will not be sending you a photo of my driver's license, as I do not want to subject myself to identity theft.
Good idea.
Just know I'm a P1 listener signed by Morgan in Morgan County. I'd also like to compliment Hoppy for using the phrase efforting last week on his public affairs program during a serious discussion about the WVU Board of Governors. Warmest regards, signed by Morgan in Morgantown.
So this is not the Morgan in Morgantown we were talking to? She claims she's the original.
Well, she showed us her license.
Yeah, I've seen it.
She's wonderful.
By the way, good job using efforting.
Oh, yeah.
It was perfect. People knew what you were talking about.
Slipped
Or
it
they
in
should.
there.
Yeah.
Texter, longtime listeners, is John in Myrtle Beach by way of Louisville, by way of Clarksburg.
How many people from Myrtle Beach were West Virginians? What's the percentage?
Well, I'll tell you this. At one time on Saturday, I was talking to 6 of them at the same time, all from Myrtle Beach.
West Virginians who
had gone to Myrtle Beach,
Beach.
and one set of them had already come back. So I was just kind of introducing everybody, see if they wanted to
I mean,
go to Myrtle
it's
Beach.
just like it should just be annexed, right?
Sure. I arrived in Morgantown last Friday. I was encumbered with the task of shopping for golden garments for our section for the game Saturday. As one can expect, shopping on a backyard brawl weekend, not something I was particularly thrilled about, but as a newly married man, sometimes you got to go along for the sake of the realm. After a stop into Daniel's for game day gear, like an oasis in the Sahara Desert, a vision of food trucks, beer, and sunshine appeared. As my wife followed me to the Mirage, I was finally greeted by Brad. As the nickname the Senator implies, he was working the crowd so well, I thought Hoppy Kercheval was going to show up any minute for an interview. Sure enough, after a couple of Kerchevals, a fellow knight of the Golden Horseshoe arrived. Hoppy graciously thanked those in attendance and shared photos of his trip to Africa. I thanked Hoppy for setting this whole thing up. There was one guy missing. Surely you can't be serious that the man who promoted the Three Guys tailgate wouldn't be there, right? Well, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. I could only think of the potential holdups that could have caused this travesty. Perhaps Tony tracked down hometown hero Mark Maw for an exclusive one-on-one interview. Perhaps Tony and Sean were having a face-to-face McDonough at an old, echoey church in Westover until the loser passed out. Tony did, in fact, have aspirations to be an astronaut. Number 4, Tony was making the incredible backyard brawl hype video in front of the stadium. That one gave me goosebumps. In all seriousness, thank you for entertaining us through the ups and downs the Mountaineers bring us. Great way to kick off the weekend in Morgantown. We'll all remember for a long time. Cheers, fellas. P.S. Thanks for going after the accountants and not the low-hanging fruit of me and my fellow dentists. There are already enough anti-dentites out there. Those poor buddies. The dentists take a beating sometimes, don't they?
What was
in your defense, Friday, you were around and there. You were running back and forth between locations. We had some technical stuff we were doing.
Well, Dave had me run. I had to go to Ace Hardware last Friday. I bought 12 50-pound bags of sand over at the Ace Hardware last Friday afternoon.
Oh, for the
sand, so the bicycle things wouldn't flip over. By the way, shout out to the guy at Ace who helped me load that up there.
What was the astronaut thing? Was that you
I had no aspirations to be an astronaut, I said.
That's right.
Texter, you mentioned, this is a good one. You mentioned Rick Harvey during the pit preview, and it brought to mind my years in Morgantown from 81 to 84. My wife worked for a year at Mountaineer National Bank with Rick and Jake Richardson. We hung out together, along with a guy Hoppy may remember, Rick Sample, who did sports at WVAQ. We'd gather at my house after the games, and Danny Nealon would sometimes stop by. That gang broke up in 1984 when Rick moved to White Sulphur and I moved to Bridgeport. My wife would later work for Rick when he became chair of Fairmont State's business department. After my wife passed in 2011, I remarried my current wife, and the love of my life is an Italian lady whose Sia is Mary Arco, who I think Tony may know, as there is a rumor that her sauce was the inspiration for the sauce that Tony and his gang used when they canned peppers. That's absolutely right. Mary Arco was the founding father of our pepper day, or founding mother. Aunt Mary was a gem. Although I'm not Italian, and there are only a couple of non-Italians in the family, my wife's nieces and nephews and their children all call me Tsiu Dink. No one else in my generation are called Tsia or Tsiu. Go figure, keep up the efforting. Let's go Mountaineers, sung by Dink from Bridgeport. Yeah, Mary Arco is the whole founder of our Pepper Day that we do each year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, massive. Texter, hey, TC, Senator and Dean, Tony, thanks for getting your taxes turned in before the September 15th deadline. Ted, the CPA, is my father-in-law, and he was able to take my wife, our daughter, and myself to Voltaire's Osteria in Salt Lake City. This is the Italian restaurant I always tell you guys about. Excellent dinner. Of course, there's always a West Virginia connection. Our waiter, Gustavo from Guatemala, found out through conversation that we were from West Virginia. He immediately responded with, I know West Virginia from that song, Country Road. Now look, there they are. They're at Voltaire's Osteria. Ted's flying home for the Texas Tech game, but is currently efforting another trip for us in October to bring his son along so we can make another trip to Voltaire's. My wife, daughter, and myself moved from California to the heart of classic Big 12 country in Salt Lake in July of this year, looking forward to completely normal matchups with Utah and BYU in the near future. When you come out for a game, check out Caputo's Deli and Market for lunch, and we'll meet you at Voltaire's for dinner. I think it's obvious my daughter enjoyed, look at that, her chocolate biscotti. I almost forgot, if you see Ted before October, can we get a 4-pack of Kirchhoff so we can bring it to Utah? I've been wanting to try it since it was just an idea on the podcast. If I don't get to try it soon, I feel like I'll need to call in the Vessel's Coffee Clutch for steam release. 3 pics of the little girl. There you go. Awesome. That restaurant. I would fly to Salt Lake City to eat there and fly home.
Really? It's that good?
Mm-hmm. All right, last one. Good morning, Tony, Brad, and if it's convenient for him, Hoppy. This is Fitty from upstate New York. Been a while. I do apologize for not sending this out earlier, but I wanted to make sure that David Attleboro Jr. was back from his filming in Africa. I think I may be the only one of you guys who recognizes this. The pencil sharpener was given me by my dad. It was originally his oldest brother's, who was an engineer for Lockheed Martin in Georgia. It sits with pride in my workshop now and it gets plenty of use, so we had pencil sharpener. Lastly, Tony, I think I fell into a Three Guys wormhole. On my hour commute home the other day, while finishing up your last episode, my Spotify decided to jump to an episode dated Aug 31, 2017, episode 1. In those 18 minutes of that podcast, I noticed that you covered the below topics, which strangely enough, I just heard on the last episode. Number 1, Hoppy's germs in the workplace. 2, an Australian punter. 3, Brad's noting conference realignment ruining the game of college football. 4, Hoppy complaining about playing 2 regional rivals. Noted that Hoppy, like any good politician, has changed his position now. 5, Hoppy not having an hour for anybody. Cue every 2.33 guys events. It is a credit to you guys that after 6 years, You still make some of the same topics entertaining. Thank you for figuring out how to do that.
That suggests to me we need some new material.
It's college athletics. There won't be new material. It will be that. It'll be conference realignment. It'll be scheduling, playing regional right. It'll be the same thing. Oh, check back on episode 798 right before the end of this thing. It'll be the same things.
Jeez.
Turn my mic on. 3 guys before the game. Don't forget, Burdett Camping special this week. If the offensive line grades out at 70% or above, you get, did I say $400? $400 off the purchase of any camper. $400 off of any camper. Check it out. When you come for the game or when you come anywhere around the state of West Virginia, stop at GoMart. 3 times your rewards on Saturdays. So check that out. Get your gas, get your fuel, get your food at GoMart. Get your rewards card at GoMart.com. 3 guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. Just fantastic people. If you're in the business space and you need help, IT, equipment, they got it. Plus, they've got their own blimp. 3 guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans, selling family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. And stats updated by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. We really would love to see everyone Friday and Saturday. We're opening up the 3 Guys Food Court at 4 p.m. on Friday. We're doing it Friday Night Lights. We'll be there until at least 10. And then the barbecue comes in on Saturday. Mountaineer Roasters comes in on Saturday. We're opening up at 8 a.m. on Saturday, 8 until 3. We'd love to see you there, and invite your friends. And we'll have, as they say, a big time. Special thanks to lucky Luke Rousey. He's not missed a bet yet this year. He is now 83-0 against the spread.
Well done. Yeah.
Stunning how good he is. Senator gave him some tips, and the guys picked right up. So we're out. We're back again on Sunday. Make sure you get your text in before 7 a.m.
That's all you have to say. Just say it in a nice way. That's all you have to say.
Yeah. All right. Back Sunday. Beat the Red Raiders. We'll see y'all.